I now began a journey west and crossed the rolling farmland of Pennsylvania. It is no secret that the land and soil is depleted of nutrients and laden with harsh chemicals to keep the crops even viable. Dr. Gerson called the soil our external metabolism, and without fertile organic soil, our food cannot sustain us.
No matter what our walk in life is, eating is a common thread to everyone. Unfortunately, only about 2%, less than 2% of the individuals in this country know where their food comes from, since we've gotten away from our agrarian roots. And they have little understanding in how the food is produced, what chemicals are put on the ground to produce the food, and what the environmental impacts are because of the practices used to produce that food.
Dr. Paul R. research manager at the Rodale Institute, is continually doing scientific analysis, soil and crop testing, and relaying these findings to the government. He gave me a crash course of the basics of soil management and the comparisons between organic farming practices and conventional farming methods. The Rodale Institute's scientific landmark studies made my head spin, and the published findings are now gaining momentum in the agricultural community. The negative impacts of conventional farming practices, including genetically modified foods, turn my stomach inside out. It has now become a race against time, for the cumulative negative impacts of conventional farming has diminished the soil appreciably, to the point of clearly becoming a leading factor as to how healthy we are as a society. Our moods, our weight, even our personal relationships, as well as crime, drug addiction, and mental illness, can be traced right back to what Dr. Gerson called our external metabolism.
Steve, you asked me whether these chemicals that are in agriculture are poisoning us, and I believe that definitely is the truth. We're getting poisoned, and this also correlates with the increasing cancer rates. The epidemics in degenerative disease are very much associated with environmental problems that we're experiencing, and I think it's no accident that this is happening in this way. Dr. Max Gerson was one of the most intuitive minds in the medical field that we've had in my lifetime, and I believe that actually if we had gone to the nutritional model for disease rather than the chemical germicide type of model, that we wouldn't be in the sad state of health that we're in presently.
I was referred to another expert on nutrition.
Why was the American Medical Association so opposed to the Gerson therapy? I think all the medical associations were opposed to the Gerson therapy. Here comes a new approach, a nutritional approach, an effective approach. The medical pharmaceutical industry, if it even wants a cure for cancer, since there's so much profit in this disease, certainly does not want the cure to be a nutritional one.
I was beginning to wonder how many of the public know this.
If the Gerson therapy were permitted inside the United States, and I believe that it should be, we would see a dramatic decrease in deaths from cancer. I would estimate the fatality rate would go down by at least 50%, very possibly more so. The Gerson therapy is especially helpful in cases of malignant melanoma and other types of cancer that are generally considered to be very dangerous, very aggressive.
After I left Dr. Saul's office, it was here, on the endless toll roads and highways, as I headed west, that the impact of his words started to sink in.
What would happen to the pharmaceutical industry? Oh, they'll be fine. I think that a $500 billion worldwide industry will manage to find other diseases that it can market drugs for. You have only to look on the television to see how hard they try. But there are no drugs with the Gerson therapy. It's all based on nature. It's all based on common sense. It's all based on nutrition, detoxification, and metabolic therapy. It makes so much sense that it doesn't make very many dollars. I raised my children on a natural foods diet, vitamin supplements, and they never, not once, had a dose, not one dose of any antibiotic. Do kids get sick? Sure. Do they need drugs to get better? No. Did we have a pediatrician? Of course. Did we go? Didn't have to.
By the time I got to the Ohio border, I thought back to my first interview for this film as I left Alaska.
I have a neighbor, and her father is a well-renowned immunologist. He studies vaccines. He develops vaccines, but his daughter never vaccinates her children. So
Her children?
yeah.
She won't vaccinate her children?
No.
Why?
Probably she has enough information about vaccines to know better.